All right, everybody. That is the victory drums. And they sound for Brendan Allen. How about that? He goes in there, has a tough first round, and then he just dominates Reinier de Ridder over the next three. And RDR's corner said, no mas, we are done, which is obviously the right call because RDR obviously had nothing left in that fight. And Brendan Allen gets a massive win. And all of a sudden, things change in a big way in the UFC's middleweight division. We'll talk about that and all the other crazy shit that happened on this card because it was a weird one. I am Mike Heck, and joining me to react to all of the weirdness, all of the wackiness, the one and only Jed Meshew. He's got takes galore today. Jed, what's the one word you would use to describe this card? I think I used wild and weird, but what's the first word that comes to your mind to describe this one?
Football, because we should just talk about football. Texas and Kentucky are in overtime right now. And you know what that is? Interesting, compelling, dramatic. Everything the UFC Vancouver was not. Just a terrifically bad card that we labored through. And, you know, there's SEC football on. Let's just change the whole website. We can just be secfootball.com. We don't have to be MMAfighting.com. Nothing good happened tonight. Nothing I want to talk about happened tonight. Only bad things occurred tonight. And so I don't even know what Texas is doing right now. They just stopped Kentucky on 4th and 1. They could kick the field goal, win the game. Instead, they just got a holding penalty, and now their field goal is much further out. Fights. I guess we're talking fights. Oh, Warship in the comments. PSU meltdown. I didn't see it. One of my best friends is an Iowa guy. Terrific. College football was electric today, and we should talk about that instead of this horrible fight card.
Yeah, we could talk about one of my favorite moments is UMass celebrating a win, their first win of the season, with a minute to play, getting the ball back.
Can't do that.
They threw on 3rd and 24 when Buffalo had no timeouts. Obviously did not complete it, and then Buffalo scored a touchdown to friggin' beat them. Twitter was so fun watching all the UMass people celebrate a win that never happened. So,
sounds right.
So I want to start here because this seems to be sort of the consensus.
It's not worst,
yeah,
for sure.
Worst card of the year or just the strangest card of the year or neither?
So I'm bad at strangest because I am not Jose Youngs. I do not have the ability, like the instant recall of everything that he does. And honestly, everything blurs. There's just so many events. They all run together for me. I'd struggle to think that there's anything more strange than this one. Like two really, really bad, the first time Tan Dan was the worst ref alive, I tweeted Dan Miragliotta should never work again. And then he arguably did worse later. I think the first offense is worse than the second one. I'm not 100% certain that his second F up isn't the bigger F up of the two. So you've got that. They had a Cheeto Vera fight, and that's always going to be weird. You know, he's just never going to have a normal fight because that's not in his blood. And then the main event was a strange one. And so, it is very tough that this was a 4-fight card, right? Like, there were other fights as the prelims, and the prelims weren't awful. There was actually some fun stuff that happened in the prelims. But then this card was, hey, there are 4 really good fights atop of it. And one was over really quickly, which is impressive and cool, but just very weird to think that, right? And then I was personally very sad about it. One had Cheeto Vera fighting in it, so it was obviously weird. One had a true ref catastrophe that effed up the whole fight and made it all. There was never going to be a good outcome once Tan Dan did his thing. And probably we got the worst of all the outcomes that could have happened, and certainly the one that feels the least just. And then the main event was just an oddball. RDR was gassed after 5 minutes. And so, yeah, it was a really strange night all around. I wouldn't say it was the worst. Again, the prelims are pretty good. And like, even though those 4 fights were curious in some respects, outside of the Holland Malott fight, which I am sure we're going to talk about so very much on this post fight show, the rest of them at least like were meaningful, right? Like, and we got real clarity. They may have been odd in their outcome or in their process, but the result is significant and viable and valuable. So, not the worst card, one of the weirdest ones in quite some time.
So, my biggest takeaway from the main event, and you know this, I said this to you many times. When they booked Fluffy versus RDR, I was like, Fluffy's going to kill him. Like this fight, he is going to run RDR over. And I got some pushback from not just you, but multiple people on the site. At least this main event justified to me that not only was I right, I actually was probably wrong because I think the outcome would have been way worse than even I drew it up in my head after seeing this all play out. But I'm curious, what, being the RDR guy and just seeing that fight play out the way that it did. And I guess a lot of the things, if there's one negative about RDR making a big run in the UFC, we saw it tonight because people have seen him struggle with the cardio. People have seen him not like, some fighters are saying that he quit, but I'm not going to come out here and say that because I'm not a fighter and that would be.
He didn't quit. That's a nonsense lie.
Yeah. That's
his corner threw in the towel, which is correct.
Yeah.
They should have done it. Great.
That's more like it. But we have seen RDR in these positions before where like a round ends and he just can't stand up and it's all of that. So what is your biggest takeaway from this main event? Is it, wow, Brendan Allen's way better than we thought? Is it, I don't know what was going on with RDR? Like, how do you describe this maybe 20 minutes after the conclusion of the event?
I thought about this a lot in the past 20 minutes, and I think I have an answer. And it's probably an answer that a lot of people won't like and think I'm just, standing RDR. And maybe that's true. Look, I love RDR. You all know that I love RDR. I believe everyone can tell that a lot of the like he's the best middleweight in the world stuff is tongue in cheek, right? It's not shocking that he lost. Arguably, he lost to Robert Whittaker. I do think I scored that fight for RDR, but if you scored it for Whittaker, absolutely nothing wrong with that scorecard, right? He can lose a fight. And unequivocally, Fluffy would have eaten him today. Like if they fought, Fluffy would have eaten him. And even when that fight was booked, in my heart of hearts, I knew that Fluffy probably should be the favorite in that fight, right? But he's my guy. I'm going to stand for him. And I do think he has tools. Cardio's never been a strong suit. It's never been that bad. And I just straight up refuse to believe that Brendan Allen, like landing generic ground and pound, it was fine, but there was not like some Fedor versus Big Nog. Like it was pretty generic ground and pound. And frankly, RDR kind of looked tired to start the second round, like my belief that I've come to, RDR has never been a cardio monster, right? But he's never looked that bad. And straight up, I think the answer is very simple. RDR cuts a lot of weight. This was his 5th time doing it in a year. Kid, like that's hard. It is. We've been talking about it for Alex and we've been talking about it from Rob. The frequency of fighting is very, very difficult. It's even more difficult if you are cutting an enormous amount of weight. RDR obviously is. He made his UFC debut last November. This was his 5th fight inside of 365 days. If you look at all the people who have fought 5 times in 365 days, they don't win them all. Brendan Allen, maybe an opponent that he was less prepared for, certainly was a better matchup than Fluffy would have been, frankly. But I think given the circumstances, I feel most confident that the answer, and maybe this still would happen. I don't want to discredit Brendan Allen's win and say that, 100% RDR beats him, right? Like that could have still happened in better circumstances. And Brendan Allen did have worse circumstances. He's coming in on short notice off the couch, cutting a lot of weight. But I think the reason it looked the way it did, Brendan Allen is a tough matchup. He's a very good defensive grappler, right? And RDR, I just feel like RDR was spent before this fight happened, and he didn't realize it until about 6 minutes in.
It looked pretty bad. And it was the moment that RDR immediately took control in round 2. Brendan Allen did the right, because I thought Brendan Allen had a terrible first round. Like,
Yeah, it was awful.
I was stunned by him sort of initiating the grappling. I'm like, what are you doing? This is not how you're going to win this fight. And RDR just threw him across the friggin' octagon and nearly got him out of there. And then RDR controlled him again in round 2, and he got a little too heavy trying to get that second hook in. And then from there, Brendan Allen just got on top of him, and RDR was never the same again. Like, it was just a big mistake he made trying to, overshot that second hook, and then it was over. Like, the fight was just over after that.
He tried to do the really cool thing where you've got the bottom hook, and that's the hook that matters the most. And he tried to do the kick off the cage to force his body into space and throw it in, but he wasn't quick enough to get it in. And then Allen just got his hips around, and then it was curtains. Because and also some of this, outside of my contention that the weight cut was bad and he shouldn't be doing this many of them, his tactics were bad. I think DC was correct in saying, like, you can't play bottom. It just doesn't work in modern MMA. Like, even Charles Oliveira doesn't really play bottom. He plays bottom for a second, and then he looks to sweep or get up. RDR didn't. Allen is very good at that position anyway, so maybe he couldn't have, but, like, he wasn't trying to get up to his feet with the urgency he should have shown. So, like, it's a confluence of events. And so, again, maybe Brendan Allen wins every time they fight. I don't think it looks that bad if RDR has not cut weight 5 times in 365 days.
I think it's a fair assessment of the situation. It
sure makes things weird as shit at middleweight now.
It sure does. I got to tell you, he didn't even have to fight tonight, and I think Anthony Hernandez is like the biggest winner. Like,
that's ridiculous. That's the worst take you've ever had.
Well, obviously,
Nasruddin Imavov is the biggest winner.
Imavov was getting the title fight anyways. It did not matter what RDR did tonight. It did not matter unless he did something we have.
If he had finished that choke in the first round, buddy, I think there's a real decent chance he was getting it.
But he didn't, and that's
that's what I'm saying. That's why Imavov's the biggest winner.
Well, yeah, but even that, like, Brendan Allen I didn't think Brendan was in, like, any true, I mean, he was in trouble, but I wasn't looking at that like, oh, this one's over. I never got to that point.
Also, arguably, Fluffy's a loser because Fluffy would have had a title fight had he showed up.
Fluffy is now the on-deck hitter right now.
No, Fluffy's fighting DDP next, and that's terrible.
Fine. That's not a bad place to be.
It's a horrible place. Dude, nobody wants to fight DDP. He would have ended up fighting
Sean Strickland. He would have ran the F over Sean Strickland. And
now he's going to lose.
For him.
He's going to lose to my other big, beautiful boy.
Yeah, obviously, Imavov wins because he was getting the title fight anyways. There's very little chance.
There's nothing about it. There ain't no ifs, ands, or buts.
Now Fluffy's next fight is going to be a big one. Like, he's kind of probably fight DDP next. That's a huge fight. That guarantees him a title fight if he wins. If he beats Strickland, doesn't really guarantee him anything. So it puts him in a much better spot. There's no way. And he already has 2 wins over Brendan Allen. So Brendan can't jump over him. There's nothing Brendan Allen can do to jump over him.
I was, in fact, looking at this. So currently in the UFC middleweight rankings, Brendan Allen is number 8. Fluffy is number 6. RDR is number 4. Usually it is just a straight, how the UFC rankings end up working out is almost always just a straight. Brendan Allen moves up to 4. Everybody slots down. Pretty sure they're going to move Fluffy up to 4, Brendan Allen to 5, and then everybody slots down. So RDR will be number 6 would be my guess for them. So he does get to move up, 2 bumps in the rankings without having ever fought. So that's a big jump.
Yeah, so that works out pretty good for him. So, yes, obviously Nasruddin Imavov is going to get a title fight. So, but I went into this fight thinking he was going to get one anyways. So, nothing really gained here. It's just what should have happened anyways. Even before Hamzat got a title fight, Imavov should have been fighting for the belt.
It should have happened. I was very much not certain. I thought as long as RDR won and it wasn't like a snoozer, I thought they were going to give it to him anyway. And I feel like that even have some level of confidence in that with Chimaev's out here tweeting shit right now, which makes me think that, like, he knew that was a possibility. And so Imavov, congrats. You deserve it. You've deserved it for a hot minute. And now you get to fight Hamza Chimaev. Congratulations.
I don't know how
it's going to suck. That's gonna suck for you, buddy. But you got it.
Yeah. So fluffy DDP is the fight to make now. No doubt about it. That is the one. Brendan Allen.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Brendan Allen.
Except for
Brendan Allen started.
Also.
Brendan Allen is very tough on the mic. Like, he said some good things. I loved how he started.
Loved his start. Strong start. Poor finish.
Strong start. Terrible finish. You have no chance of getting the title fight. Like, zero. You don't start with Hamzat.
Wasn't the worst call out of the night, though.
It sure was.
So there's that.
And we'll get to that. It was not the worst call out of the night. That was tough. Eamon Zahabi, but we'll get there in a moment. And Sean O'Malley's reaction was the same as everybody else's who watched it. But Brandon Allen goes, Hamzat, if you want to fight a real grappler, I'm in. If not, hey, I'll fight you. But if not, and then finally he got to the right answer. He should have just straight up called out Sean Strickland. That was the perfect fight all the way. He eventually got there. I think that's what you do with Brendan Allen next. What do you think? I know it's a rematch.
I think that's the most likely to happen, and I'm okay with it. I think that's probably what will happen. I do think Brendan Allen's in a tricky position because I don't think that's the only possible outcome. I think that's the most likely. Because Sean Strickland wants to fight again and doesn't really fit in anywhere else since he and Izzy apparently aren't fighting. But I think Brendan Allen, the trouble is Brendan Allen beat RDR, but I don't view Brendan Allen as remotely close to a title fight right now. Just because he's lost to Imavov and Fluffy very, very recently, right? And so I guess if he beats Strickland, then that would be fine. But I could also see, hey, we just need to fill X, Y, or Z spot. And Israel Adesanya, like, that's a fight that Brendan Allen shouldn't turn down if it got offered.
Yeah, but Izzy will never take that fight.
I don't know. Izzy was talking recently, like he just kind of wants to fight again. So maybe he would. I don't know. Was Whitaker booked?
Whitaker's not booked. That wouldn't
I could see Whitaker. I could even see Kyle Bahayo, frankly. So
yeah, Kyle's not a bad one.
I think Strickland would be the best one for him and is the one he should have been pursuing because it's the most reasonable one for him to get. Though some people were out here saying the DDP call out's viable. I disagree, but whatever.
No.
I firm disagree. Saw it out there. I think Strickland is the one he should be pursuing. That's the one that is the most achievable for him. I wouldn't put all my eggs that that's going to happen because I do kind of think the UFC could look at him and be like, dude, just spin the wheel against any other top 8 middleweight because that's fine here. So I'd say that's the leader in the clubhouse, but he is far from a walk-away winner.
What do you do with RDR? Is this next fight at middleweight?
Buddy, you know my answer. You know my answer. My answer is always Dricus du Plessis versus RDR.
But we're doing fluffy DDP. He needs a break. Give the man a break. And then DDP after DDP fights Fluffy. Okay.
That would be fine. I wouldn't frankly hate to see RDR just take a light heavyweight fight. Because like he probably is out of the middleweight title mix now. I wouldn't say it's 100%, but like it's probably out of it. And light heavyweight, the title mix is just so nonsense. Like it's so easy to get in there. So if he wants to just like go up, I mean, obviously my heart would sing if he fought Yuri Prochazka, but I think Yuri's going to fight Carlos Ulberg for the title. So that's probably not happening. But like, tell me that if in December, we're like on a call, we're doing a show, you look down at your phone and you get a notification that says, Jed, looks like they're doing Dominic Reyes versus Renier de Ritter at UFC Paramount 2 in wherever it is. Your ears wouldn't perk up a little bit. You wouldn't be like, let's let these two weirdos go fist fight each other. I'm pretty into that. So I know you, Mike, you do a wonderful show called On to the Next One. My official submission, RDR versus Dominic Reyes.
There's a lot of reasons why I like that fight. Like,
because it's weird as shit.
It is weird as shit.
I love it because it's weird as shit.
And like, there's a real chance RDR would would finish Dominic Reyes, but it wouldn't be
or get plunked.
Yeah, that could happen too. But
Either
like
one.
the nerves I would have after watching Reyes get stopped again. Like I know he's on a nice run, but dude's been getting knocked out a ton. I would feel like slightly better watching that because like RDR could, knee him to the sternum and do some damage, but him getting knocked into the middle of next week, I don't think that option is really on the table. So I love that fight. I think that is a terrific idea. I think that's a great idea. Well done.
Thank you.
Should we talk about Mike Malott versus Kevin Holland?
We probably should.
Yeah. What you want to talk about strange and weird? Dan Miragliotta. Jesus Christ. Like you got to find another line of work.
Dan Miragliotta might be the biggest winner because I don't believe Dana White is there, and Dana White might fire him post-fight. Like he did, remember once there used, for many of you who don't know, there used to be a referee called Mario Yamasaki. And he doesn't exist anymore because he pissed Dana off by being really, really bad at his job. And Dana was basically like, no, he can never work us again. And the commission's just stopped employing him. So like Dan could have easily fallen prey to that if Dana was at this event.
It was an interesting ride for referees today because we're watching the Drew Dober fight unfold, and Drew Dober just kicked dude right in the nuts, like a square shot. Poor Kyle Prepolek.
A real punt. He
punt.
Really brought the college football into the octagon that night.
A real punt. It was the first infraction, which technically is like the second warning, right? Because you are
not
warned
technically.
Officially
the second one.
You are in the so when people like there are newer fans like, oh, it was the first warning or is the first infraction or anything. No, you are given rules in the back, and that is essentially the first warning. You can't do this, you can't do this. I'm warning you right now, you cannot do any of these things. So they are well aware of what they can and cannot do. What happened?
I think I spiked my fight of the night prediction. Or wait, did I? Maybe I didn't. Did I pick Frivola? I don't remember if I picked Frivola or if I picked Dober. I picked one of those two fights because I debated it over and over, but I do not remember which one I did. Dober Prepolek got fight of the night.
I think you went with Frivola, but I don't know. I'll have to go back and look at it.
Yeah.
Other bonuses: Charles Jourdain, Arichi Lang. We'll
both reasonable.
Yeah, Jourdain with great finish. And we're talking about the Dober fight right now. I'm trying to remember who the referee was. It's one I don't know that well. He's probably a local guy. Knows that it was not an accidental shot. It was not a purposeful kick to the balls, but still the tide of the fight completely changed. All the momentum that Kyle Prepolek had.
John Cooper was the referee.
John Cooper, that's right. John Cooper takes a point from Drew Dober. And I love this so much because this is what sports are. When you
exactly correct.
Commit something that is wrong, you should be penalized for it. So I was like, all right, great. Something happened. We lost a point. This is great. And then we get to Tandan just doing ridiculous shit. What?
So here, what you said is something important because fundamentally, I agree with you. If you commit a foul, you should be penalized for it. That's just like an ethical, moral, logical thought. That's not technically true per the rules. The referee, it is at the discretion of the referee to take a point. And as it is written in the rules, you are not to, as Tandan kept repeatedly saying as if it mattered and it fucking did not, it is not that you take a point away because a foul has been intentionally landed. If an intentional foul happens, you can just DQ the fighter right there because they are intentionally cheating. In the same way that if they intentionally pulled out a gun and shot him, you would be like, well, that's cheating, you lose. The point that it is written in the rules, the way it is described, is you are supposed to take a point if the referee deems that the non-offending fighter, the offended fighter, has been substantively impacted by the offense. And so, well, I think you should take points for fence grabs all the time, like every fence grab immediately. I at least can give some twisted logic to like, okay, don't do it. And then you do it after 5 times because that's added up to enough to matter a point or whatever. It's stupid, but I can hear that argument.
Right.
There's nobody alive who thinks that Kevin Holland was fighting clean after that nut shot. And like Tan Dan is looking at him clearly like, one, procedurally, the fight actually just should have been straight up stopped. He fucked that up. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He fucked it up because they exceeded the 5-minute time limit. And he kept
several seconds.
Yeah, he kept hemming and hawing, and like it was pretty clear they were just like trying to play the game. They fucked it up again later, which we'll talk about. But like procedurally fucked it up. But just on its face, you can look at that man and be like, he has been severely impacted. And then we saw it play out. The rest of that round was a joke. He very clearly was just kept grabbing his junk because he was still in pain. And so like you have to, at the barest of minimums, take a point because he has been negatively impacted to a significant degree, or however the language is. And the fact that he didn't is just like, it's incompetent. It is aggressively and unacceptably incompetent. And in any rational world, he would never have a job again.
Yeah.
And like clip it and send it to him. I'll talk with Tan Dan all I want about this. Like because there is no accountability at all for referees, which is insane. It's incredibly stupid. But like there's no defense of his actions in any capacity for it. And he should not be employed. And it was the second time he fucked up tonight in a bad way.
Yep. The Mafferville Kyle Nelson fight should have been a TKO win. I don't give a shit if you think the horn went off. You stopped it. You stopped the fight.
Yeah, the fight's a no contest at that point. That's just what it is. Thank God Kyle Nelson still won the fight because like the Jake Matthews situation, whatever, 3 months back is just like shit, you know? And again, at the time I was still like, the letter of the law, this is wrong. Spirit of the law, it's okay. Still, like Jake Matthews has a reason to feel violated in that. Kyle Nelson would have an enormous like justification to be livid if he didn't end up getting the W. Still ended up getting the W, so good for him. But just horrible night for Dan Miragliotta, who should never work again, and will almost certainly ref next week's card.
Yeah, the Kansas City card, he was terrible. Yeah, and not only the not taking the point thing and letting the time elapse, what really angered me from
round two shit.
Oh my fucking God. What are you doing? First of all, the first thing that angered me was, why are the doctors coming in now? Why did we wait all this time to even have a doctor come in when Kevin was so clearly compromised? Like, we're wasting time here. And now Kevin's standing up. We know he's not ready to go. Now he calls in one doctor, and the doctor's trying to ask him questions, and Kevin's not saying anything. And the doctor's looking at the referee like, do something. This is your job to make a call. And Dan's like, well, I can't make the call. I'm not making it. And he keeps asking Kevin. And then they bring in a second guy, and we're doing the same thing. And Dan keeps asking him like, Kevin, do you want to go? You have to tell me something. And I think at one point, Dan actually uttered the words, if you don't say anything, I will disqualify you, which obviously you cannot do.
No, he didn't say it like that. He
didn't say it that. Okay. But it was,
he didn't. He actually is correct in this phase. He clarified to Kevin Holland, like, if you don't say that you can fight, this will be a disqualification loss, which is correct. I believe, I'm not 100% on, but I do believe that is correct per the rules, because
it's like a forfeit.
Yeah, he is refusing to answer the bell. He is forfeiting the round because the offending foul has happened. Kevin Holland chose to continue competing, and so the function is over after that. We're not a retroactive. He's not competing because of X, Y, or Z. It is just a, hey, he's not answering the bell, you lose. Which I guess actually isn't a DQ. I guess that should be a TKO because he's refusing to answer the bell.
Same kind of thing.
But same thing, it's a loss. So I think that is correct. That what he conveyed there is correct, even if it sucks. But the whole thing, everything about it was stupid. The charitable explanation, and I can believe that this is true, is that Dan Miragliotta was trying to give Kevin Holland more time to recover outside of the purview of the rules of the, like, okay, we'll call in a doctor. You can talk to the doctor for a bit. If the doctor wink, wink understands what's going on, he'll take a minute to really talk to you and give you some more time. The doctor did not. He came in and was like, if he's grabbing his balls, he can't defend himself. He can't fight like this. Like the doctor almost immediately was like, if he doesn't say he can go, you call the fight, which wasn't really helping the game. They hemmed and hawed, and I can believe that. But I think, Mike, and tell me if I'm off base here, I believe what happened is the fundamental flaw in all refs, in every single one of them. And this was it at its moment. This is the fundamental issue with every ref that works the UFC. He didn't want to influence the fight.
Yep.
Dan Miragliotta did not want to be seen as playing a role, which to him is just, if I just do nothing at all points in time, then I can shrink into the hedges like the Homer Simpson gif, and nobody will see me, and it's fine, because what I don't want to do is ever stand on a corner and do my fucking job. And that's why they don't take foul, they don't take points. Refs will outright tell you this. Refs have told me,
they've said it in interviews.
They've said it in interviews. They don't want to influence or impact the fight, despite the fact that they're not impacting the fight. They are literally just applying the rules, and the fighters are impacting the fight. They cannot grasp it. They cannot be okay with it. They feel that they are going outside their parameters, which is insane. And this was just the moment of that. If he's like, well, I don't want to call the fight because then I'm impacting the fight, even though Kevin Holland's not answering the bell. Like, straight up, I think Kevin Holland got jobbed in many respects here. I think at the worst, that fight should have been a draw. Realistically, that fight should have been a no contest, immediately handled, because Dan Miragliotta should not have restarted the fight. When Kevin Holland clearly does not want to compete, but is feeling pressured to compete, but is compromised, you could just be like, hey, he's compromised. The fight's over due to an illegal strike. Should be a DQ, but the way the world works, there'll be a no contest. We'll come back. People can be a little unhappy, but nobody gets fucked in that scenario. It's just a no contest. We move on. Dan wasn't willing to do that. Fight carried on. He should have at least taken a point, so the end result is a draw. Yep. Any way you slice it, Kevin got jobbed. But if Kevin Holland had come out and he had just edged out the third round, right? He had won somehow, however he did it. Mike Malott could easily feel hard done by, because he got fucked too. Because they gave Kevin Holland well beyond the 5 minutes that you get, because they played the nonsense game with him after the second round, when that fight should have been immediately called off when he didn't answer the bell. Like, nobody can be happy about that outcome, and it's entirely because Dan Miragliotta fucked it up, pillar to post, tip to tail, the whole way through. He was bad, which is why I said at the top of this show, arguably that's worse than the freaking Kyle Nelson thing. Because, like, that was worse in a very contained moment. This was like 8 really bad things rolled into one fight.
It was horrendous. It was absolutely horrendous. It's insane. Yeah, we don't want to impact the fight, but yet you not doing anything still fucking impacts it. It impacts the other fighter that, isn't cheating.
Yes.
The one that is the one who got kneed in the balls. The one who was trying to get a takedown and his opponent grabbed the fence. Like,
when you don't enforce the rules, you impact the fight. You don't impact the fight when you enforce the rules. That's how it goes.
For 5 years, you and I have been on so many post shows, and we've even gotten to the point where, like, every major MMA team should have a class once a week on cheating and getting away with it. Like, here's how you grab the fence to avoid a takedown. If you're tired, knee him in the balls, because nothing's going to happen. Just do it. It's not, I wouldn't teach my child that. But if he was like, my dad, I want to be an MMA fighter and fight for the UFC, you bet your sweet ass I'm sending him a text before the fight. Yeah. If you're almost going to get taken down, grab the fucking fence, because nothing's going to happen to you.
I would legitimately coach fighters. Like, this is not even a bit. I would legitimately coach fighters that in any fight where aren't confident that you are ahead, like where you're not cruising, the moment you get into a clinch, knee him in the balls.
It's crazy.
Knee him in balls. Just knee him in balls. There's no downside.
Yes.
Maybe they don't even see it and you just get a free nut shot. And if they do see it, they'll separate. You'll get a breather. He'll get a breather too, but he will then be fighting everyone watching this show. I'm assuming our viewership is 99.9% male. You, me, we've all taken one low.
It sucks.
It sucks for a while, and so I would straight up coach. If coaches aren't doing it, you guys are screwing up. Yeah, you should need somebody in the balls every fight.
Fence grabs, little poke in the eye, something. It's nothing's gonna get called. You could do it twice. Like, you could literally do it twice.
At the minimum, you should be poking your opponent in the eye once and kicking him low once. At the bare minimum.
Mike Malott hit Kevin Holland in the nuts twice in 90 seconds. Maybe a little less, and not a point was taken. And Kevin Holland was wrecked for the rest of the fight and probably the rest of the night. And
I know that this is the stupidest, like that this would be nonsense. I would love to talk to Dan and be like, because the Dan like going to Jason Herzog on the replay and be like, Jason, tell me what it is. He's like, I just wanted to get Jason to confirm it wasn't intentional.
Oh my God.
What do you tell me what do you think is going to happen? What do you think you need to see to determine that it's an intentional knee low? Like, how do you even think you could see that and be like, he clearly meant to hit him low? There's never going to be intentional. Intentionality is the stupidest thing in this sport. It's so dumb. He intended to throw a knee and it landed where it landed. That's on him because he threw it. He didn't have to throw the knee. He could have not thrown the knee. It's not hard, guys.
Joseph, I'll just throw your question out. I'm not even going to throw it up on the screen, but no, Kevin Holland did not try to force a DQ. He just didn't.
He might have been fishing for some help there, which I think is reasonable. I don't think he was fishing for a DQ. I think he was foolishly looking to the referee, the official,
give me some sound advice.
Yeah, the person with power in this situation. I think he was looking to the official to be like, hey, I'm clearly still hurt. Help me out. Because if I say I can't compete, then the UFC and the crowd and everybody's just going to shit all over me because that's the stigma if I say I can't fight. But you can clearly see I'm compromised. Do me a solid. Be like, hey, fight can't go on because of the illegal shot. I'm calling it. Or, hey, I'm going to take a point because you're clearly compromised and that's how the rules are written. If you are seriously negatively impacted by a foul, the other guy gets a point taken from him because he committed the foul. And Dan Miragliotta just looked at him and was like, you got 65 seconds, buddy. It's okay. You let me know when you're ready to go.
Yeah, it was crazy. And him getting the extra time is not fishing. It's just Dan not fucking standing not putting his feet firm on the mat and making a call. Like, that's all on him.
He's still a make call. It's all
on Dan Miragliotta.
Can you imagine Dan Miragliotta being a friggin' baseball umpire? He'd just sit back there and be like, I don't know if that's a ball or a strike, guys.
He'd be like,
I don't want to make the call. Swing or don't. Like, if you don't swing, I can't make the call. He just make a fucking choice, dude. You're an adult who has reffed thousands of these goddamn things. Make a decision.
Even Leslie Nielsen in the original Naked Gun movie, when he dressed up as an umpire, eventually called the strike, even though he didn't know what the hell he was doing. And then he had fun with it and started dancing around. But like, that's what it felt like, was like, the first pitch comes in, Leslie Nielsen's standing behind home plate, and they're looking at him like, what is it? He just goes, strike, and the crowd cheers, and he's like, woohoo! It's just so bad. Like, Dan should just stick to BKFC at this point, and that's that. I mean, it was just so bad. It sucks. It sucks that this Brendan Allen's win is completely outshined by Dan Miragliotta tonight. Like, Dan Miragliotta is the story of the event. He's the story of this fucking card, and it's crazy.
Because Mike, there's a whole other Dan thing we've just touched on. That's arguably worse. I don't think it's worse, but it could be worse.
Luckily, the right fighter won, so that's what makes it not worse.
It makes it easier to swallow, but
yeah, it was still very bad.
His one screw up is much worse than any individual screw up in the Kevin Holland fight. He just had like 8 of those.
I'm sure we're gonna get questions about that, so we'll touch on that in a minute.
We're definitely going to. The thing that I keep coming back to, though, legitimately, if Mike Malott had lost, he could and should win. Like, he could petition for a no contest and should get it because Dana handled it so poorly. because Dan gave Kevin Holland well over 5 minutes to recover, which is not in the rules at all. So, like, you might not like the rules, but your job is to enforce them. He gets 5 minutes. He didn't answer the bell. You let him have an extra 30 seconds, and then you gave him 3 minutes before the second round started. A total clusterfuck and a horrible, horrible effort.
Yes. Okay. Before we get to more Miragliotta talk, and I'm sure we're going to get there, we're going to get to the featured bout, which was in the Bantamweight division, Eamon Zahabi versus Chito Vera. Now, the Chito Vera...
Why do we have to talk about this fight?
Well, we're going to talk... We're not really going to talk about the fight. We're going to talk about a take that you had, that you talked about in Slack, and you put out a tweet, and then we're gonna get into that. But in case you missed it, this was like the reverse Chito Vera fight, because Chito came out in like round 1 and was like kind of doing stuff, and then down the stretch didn't do anything. It was
he front loaded his doing stuff instead of waiting until the third round. He did it in the first 4 minutes, and then he never did anything again.
It was just unbelievable. It was truly unbelievable.
It was the most classic Chito performance, even though it was inverted. It was just like, yeah, okay, you're the better fighter, but you just refuse to fight. Got it.
Eamon Zahabi wins the decision. I'm fine with it. I was doing multiple things.
I scored it for him.
Yeah, I was doing multiple things, but part of me was like, I kind of thought Chito won. But again, I didn't watch like the entirety of the fight, like every second, and broke it all down.
It's not a bad decision. You can score it for Chito, and that wouldn't be. The first round's a swing round. And I thought Zahabi edged it at the very end because Chito stopped doing anything for the last minute of the round. But if you scored it for Chito, it would have been fine. Not a robbery at all, though.
Yeah. Eamon won, and then he had the worst call out maybe of 2025.
It's pretty bad.
Calling out Sean O'Malley, a fight zero chance. Sean reacted, like I said, go to Sean O'Malley's Twitter. He reacted.
I can't even believe Sean reacted.
He was just
credit to Eamon. He even got a reaction.
It was just like, what? Why are we doing this? Even Sean thought it was the worst call out of all time. But here's a tweet that you sent out 2 hours ago, Jed.
Stand by it.
Quote, Bantamweights are all bums. They let Eamon Zahabi get a top 10 ranking. Now, Jed, remember like a couple of years ago when, first of all, I feel so vindicated, and I think Shaheen Al-Shadi does probably as well, because we went on a ranking show and we fought for middleweight being right up there with bantamweight. And I think it's better than bantamweight now. I think it's fair to say. But the
top of it certainly is.
Yeah. I think at this point, what this tweet reads to me, and I know you talked about this in Slack, so I'll let you speak on it. You believe bantamweight may be overrated. And there was a time where we were fighting with people who thought bantamweight was better than lightweight. Yeah. And it's absolutely insane. Like, it is truly one of the most insane takes in the history of the sport, is that bantamweight was ever better than lightweight. Anybody who had that take was completely wrong. Defend this tweet. Bantamweights are all bums. They let Eamon Zahabi get a top 10 ranking. Your thoughts? Because there's going to be a lot of people in the comments who are like, bantamweight slaps. It's the best. It's a great division.
Look, bantamweight's really fun. I'm not here to say it's not fun.
It's not a bad division, no.
I have always thought that it was overrated, that it had an argument to be the second best division at times, but I never thought it was in the ballpark of lightweight, and I was never certain that bantamweight was like significantly better than featherweight or welterweight, the other like premier weight classes. And there's no way for this not to be disrespectful to Eamon Zahabi. It just is. Eamon Zahabi's not good. He's just not good, man. Like, he's fine. He's not bad, but like, he's not one of the 10 best fighters in the world. And he is, like, officially, certainly, I think he already was before this, but like, look at him fight and tell me what he does that's good. Like, he just kind of and the Aldo performance was a terrific performance. I don't want to take that away from him. Arguably still should have drawn that fight, lost the first 2 rounds, and then 10-8 Aldo in the third. But like, don't want to take that away from him. But like, a fighter like that just shouldn't. Who is his corollary at lightweight? Who is the lightweight who's just not good? You know, like, Michael Chandler is bad. I make that joke all the time. He's clearly better than Eamon Zahabi. Like he can do things that are like it's scary. He can hurt people or whatever. And the tweet is mostly a shout out to it's an in joke to 7 people on the internet. Lucas Bourdon had one of my favorite tweets of all time where he was hammered drunk one night. And I don't remember what fight. It was a Wonder Boy fight. And he was hammered drunk and he tweeted all drunk misspelled and in English, which is not his first language, is French. Welterweights are all bums. They almost let Wonder Boy win the title. If you don't know who Lucas Bourdon is, he's a kickboxing aficionado. And the gimmick is always that Wonder Boy is not a very good kickboxer because he's not. He's a really good kickboxing MMA fighter. And so it was really a shout out to that because it's just like Ayman Zahabi's credit to him. He keeps winning fights, and that's impressive. He's on a 7-fight win streak, I think, now with solid names, right? Like he deserves to have the number he has. That is a condemnation of Bantamweight because he's not good. I believe it. I believe Bantamweight's overrated, and he is the litmus test for why.
Wow. What do you do with him? If you were to book him for his next fight after this win, because he called out Sean, and as we know, he has 0 chance of getting that fight. I believe Sean O'Malley has his next opponent. They haven't announced it yet, but I mean, you've seen reports about it, so it seems like Song Yudong is probably next for Sean based on what I'm hearing. But again, nothing's like 100% locked and loaded. It's just a matter of, is it going to happen here? Is it going to happen here? Are there injuries along the way? But yeah, Sean O'Malley's not a good call up because Sean has no interest in that fight. So what do you do with Ayman Zahabi? What's the fight for you need to see for you to be like, all right, you know what? Maybe he is good.
That's the thing. I don't even really know what it is because also look at Bantamweight. Like there's just a lot of dudes who are like, not really good anymore. Like they're old or whatever. Like God love Figgy Smalls. Good win recently, but Figgy's old, I think Ayman should hope for Figgy because it's another old guy. Maybe he can kind of find a way to win against. Like if you get somebody like Corey Sandhagen, he's just get thumped. Like he's just going to get cooked by Corey Sandhagen, who's actually good.
That actually was the call out to make. That would have been like, all right, cool. You might actually get that one, but I don't think the UFC. I think
Figgy would have been a better call out because he could get it and win it. He might, like, if Mauro Batista loses to Umar, they might go there for the fight that no one will ever think about ever.
That's my hot no pick. Whoever loses that fight is fighting Ayman Zahabi.
That's the fight I will watch and forget about it immediately afterwards. He has to fight one of those 2 dudes. It's either Corey or Figgy or maybe Batista if he loses to Umar. I doubt they'd book if Umar loses to Batista. Umar's just done. Maybe I don't know what they do at that point. So, I'll say Figgy because that feels more akin to a correct the trajectory he's been on.
Yep, Ayman wins again, 7 in a row. Splitty gets it done. Man and Fiorot just destroys Jasvizius and
my dreams
climb. And gave me 0 fantasy points. So that was great all around. But yeah, she hurt Jasmine, had Jasmine doing a dance with that first shot she landed. And I thought it was hilarious that Daniel Cormier was like, yeah, man's not like really doing much. She's very hesitant in there. And then boom, like literally punched her and hurt her bad. And
credit to him. He did immediately recognize where he effed up.
Yeah.
And then said it. Because I also at the time thought it was strange anyway, because he said it so quickly, and also Manal was winning the early exchanges, like just jabbing. But then he pretty quickly was like, oh, I just missed what was happening. I could not see the forest for the trees. So credit to him for that. That fight sucked. I'm sad about it.
Yeah. But
I felt so good about the over 2.5 as my climb bet. I was like, this is great. It's terrific. Jasmine has gone over in like 8 of 10 UFC fights. Manon hasn't finished anybody since 2021. Jasmine's never been finished. Easy cash. Dead in seconds.
Yep.
In seconds, it was dead. It happened so quick. Like as soon as she did the like stanky leg, I was like, oh, it's over. How did I don't even know what happened. How did it? And I watched it. It was like, well, she caught her. Man, that sucks.
And the
Great for
ground, that was
Manal.
nasty.
Terrific for Manal.
Yeah, she was pissed. Great performance. She's in a weird spot though, unfortunately. But again, we talked about
it depends who you are. If you're Daniel Cormier, he clearly did not realize she just lost to Shevchenko because he was like, I think it's pretty hard for whoever wins this fight to deny them a shot at the winner of Shevchenko versus Zhang. And I was like, we literally just saw this one woman fight Shevchenko.
Yeah.
It would be very easy to deny her a shot.
Yeah, it was competitive for sure. So that helps. But yeah, she ain't getting the next one. Like Natty, this is a great night for Natty Ice, I think. It's a great night for Natty Ice. She's probably the lying in wait for the winner of Zhang versus Valentina, unless something weird happens and they want to run it right back. But then, like, we just did this with Valentina and Grasso, where the division was basically on hold for almost 2 years. So we'll see what happens. But I think Natty Ice is in a really good spot right now to get a title shot. But great win for Manon. Charles Jourdain.
Straight up, I think Natalia Silva and Manon are going to fight.
You think they're going to do that? I think it'd be kind of crazy.
Shevchenko's been taking a long, like Shevchenko or Zhang have both been fighting like once a year. They are not super active. I think that Silva should get the next title fight. I think it is more likely than not that Silva and Fiorot fight in a true, honest to God title eliminator. And I mean, especially if Zhang wins, they're just going to run it right back. If Shevchenko wins a close one, maybe, but still, I think they're going to make him fight.
That will not be my choice. We'll see. I mean, there's a lot of big fights coming up at 125. There's a lot of good ones coming up. So I would like. I'll reveal it on to the next one.
You can't give away all the.
I'm not going to give away all of them. Charles Jourdain, Bantamweight Charles Jourdain, very, 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 very fun.
It's terrific.
Yeah, we'll see who gets next.
I wasn't confident in Jourdain. I picked him, but I was like, and as soon I just forgot that Davy Grant is old. And like when there's a 10-year age gap, the younger guy wins like 93%. Like the stats are something incredible. And it looked like Davy Grant's probably a little long in the tooth, and Charles Jourdain at bantamweight is pretty decent.
Kyle Nelson, Matt Fravola, we talked about. I'm sure we're gonna get more questions about that. That was the beginning of the Dan Miragliotta fun.
Bivol makes wins. The best point.
We mentioned the Drew Dober fight. He ends up getting the finish in round 3. Richie Lang, damn.
Hey, we got it briefly on Drew Dober.
Please.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Just shout out to Drew Dober. Did he cheat aggressively? Yes. Did he benefit directly from cheating? Sure did. That's terrific work. But most importantly, who are we talking about this recently? Was it what freaking fight? Corey Sandhagen, but it was somebody else who was just like, hey, you're losing this fight. You need to try to win this fight by being a crazy person. Yuri Prochazka, a.k.a. Drew Dober went full Yuri Prochazka. He clearly was going to lose that fight. He had just gotten a point taken away from him. And he was like, well, I guess I'm just going to go ham. And he did, and it worked. Shout out Drew Dober.
Yes, back in the win column. First win in quite some time. So shout out to Drew Dober. Tough night for Kyle Prepolek. We mentioned Richie Lang, nasty right hand to Cody Gibson. Not a lot of people saw that one coming. Cody was kind of a popular pick this week, especially with the long layoff for Richie Lang. But man, that was and the post fight there was just spectacularly.
Shout out to the UFC for not having a translator and just having a Korean dude go up to translate for him.
That was Eddie Cha, right?
I think
did they have Eddie do it. Yeah, I think they had Eddie do it.
I got to tell you, I don't know much about Mongolian. I don't know if there's a lot of overlap with Korean or if Eddie. I don't know, but that was really A+ stuff.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I think it was Eddie Cha. Shout out to Eddie. Good dude. Bruno Silva. What a win for him. Third round submission. Hyun Sung Park, who was Hyun Sung Park was the guy in a lot of people's eyes that thought he was poised to upset Tetsuro Taira, and now he's been stopped in 2 straight fights. Bruno Silva only loses to really good dudes. So there you go. Jordan Santos, Danny Barlow that was scrap, man. That was a crazy ass fight. But Santos gets the win via unanimous
I
decision.
regret not betting Santos. Danny Barlow is just a dude who shouldn't be a minus 300 betting favorite against people because he doesn't believe in defense. And yeah, that was fun. It was a fun little scrap. That was in the height of the Georgia game. I was not super focused on it.
Stephanie Luciano gets a finish.
My girl.
Well done. Yusri Belgoroy. That fight with Asmat Bakayev was so ridiculous. What a ridiculous fight that was.
Dude, can you believe that they didn't sign Yusri off Contender Series? Even at the time, I thought it was kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
That they didn't sign him. I was just like, okay. Like, and he lost the one before. Then he comes, he gets a freaking stoppage win. It was weird. He got like multiple points deducted because he just kept stabbing a dude in the eyes, which frankly, great work on his part. But then he gets the finish win. He's training partners with Alex Pereira. He's a Glory kickboxer. He beat Alex in Glory. I just felt like a guy they were obviously going to sign. And Dana did one of those things where he's like took a stand. It was like, we're not signing him. And then they just sign his ass later and he comes in and he does up Azamat, who's like a pretty solid prospect.
Yeah, that was a great performance. And then the night kicked off with Melissa Scare Croden finishing Tainora Lisboa. She's a physical specimen, man. She's and we might have a new women's bantamweight to rank.
We're for sure ranking. Are you kidding?
Yeah. Erin B. Mosquito will probably be in our rankings. So
look, she is the next gen Macy Chiasson. As long as she can make weight, that's dope. Literally the first time I've ever seen her compete. I liked it.
Yeah, very physical, very aggressive. She goes in there trying to hurt people and
put the hammer down in the end. Love that.
Yeah, it was good performance. Yeah, those first few prelim fights were really good.
We started off pretty strong, man. Like
really,
the prelims were all good. They were all solid.
Yeah, once we got to the main card, and even like the Nelson Favola fight was great, but just Dan Miragliotta like ruined it.
Yeah, just got cooked.
Yeah,
because the whole thing was weird.
Yeah, and then the last 3 fights just it got super weird. So, all right, let's go to the peeps. Take some questions before we get the hell out of here. Jackson is sending Jed coffee money because I feel bad criticizing his over 2.5 rounds bet on the Jazz fight on Twitter. P.S. Dan Miragliotta should never ref again.
Shout out. I didn't take it bad, but it was just a ridiculous criticism. So I was going to let you know. It's like, you shouldn't have been betting the over. I was like, Manal hasn't finished anyone in 4 years. Jasmine's never been finished. And 8 of her 10, I think it's 8 of 11 UFC bouts have hit the over 2.5, and one that missed by 3 seconds. So I don't feel incorrect about my process, despite it looking glaringly wrong.
On the preview show, when you were like, this is going to be my climb, I thought you were climbing with Manon. And I was like, wow, that's actually like a really good climb bet because you're getting like extra. It's almost like climb bets.
I should have, because I was so like easily the most confident I was in any human in Manon. But then I was like, it was what I told you on the pregame show where I was like, yeah, every time I've ever been like, I don't understand this line, I've lost my ass. This was the one time and I didn't believe in it. But like, I looked at that fight, I was like, how does Jasmine win? I did not understand it. And as it turned out, should have just believed in Manon.
Spencer, my little guys below hurt just watching that Cheeto Zahabi super close. Cheeto Zahabi super close. I see Cheeto less gun shy. I mean, you must only watch like the first 6 minutes of that fight. How did you score it? Who stood out to you all in the prelims? You're probably better for scoring that one, and you scored it for Eamon.
I scored it for Eamon, but like I said, it could easily be, you could put that 29-28 Cheeto. I was live blogging it, and literally I was just like, the fight's really close. Whoever takes this last minute probably takes the first round, and Zahabi did stuff and Cheeto didn't, so I scored it for him.
It's the first team prelim all-star.
First team prelim all-star? I mean, it's probably Richie Lang, right? I mean, that was sick. So,
yeah. The thump of that knockout was
something. Let me also criticize Eamon Zahabi one more time because I haven't done it enough. I know this is very silly. It bothered the piss out of me. In his post-fight interview when Daniel Cormier was like, how hurt are you? And he was like, not that bad. I was fine, really. Which is a lie. It's an obvious lie. You know how I know it's a lie? Because he didn't do anything for 3 full minutes after he got dropped. And he tried to be like, yeah, and I'm sure he wasn't hurt as bad as Aldo because Aldo actually like TKO'd him and just didn't get stoppage. But like, he was like, yeah, it was fine. I just kind of lost my balance. Okay, if you lost your balance, why did you literally not throw a punch for 3 minutes? All you did was back up and Cheeto didn't hit you because he's Cheeto. But like, you were hurt, and it's okay to just be like, yeah, man, he got me, but I battled through and I won. Because that is what happened. You don't have to be like, I was fine. You won the decision. We don't need to posture at that point in time.
Is Brendan Allen still the middleweight champ? 14-4 in the UFC with 9 finishes, still 29 years of age. Also, I don't get the Malott hype. I would give him Renat.
Now, I can explain the Malott hype to you pretty easily. I do not agree that Brendan Allen's middleweight champ.
Although it did help his career out immensely. I will say that.
I mean, look, that's like the Intercontinental title. It's the belt you put on somebody when you want to give them the bump, the rub.
So we have to, that belt, AK and I have decided that it can shift divisions as needed. Right now, heavyweight is like the perfect division for this title. The heavyweight title. There are many viable.
The heavyweight title feels like its own thing where you can either kill someone in 5 minutes or just lean on people. That feels like that's what, and I gotta tell you, Auntie Delia feels a lot like the heavyweight champ to me.
I don't know, man. There's a lot of great options.
I mean, there's so many great options at heavyweight.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Shamil. God, Shamil's heavyweight and a half.
Man.
Yeah. A lot of good choices up at 265, baby.
Yes. As far as the Mike Malott hype, RS40 doesn't get it.
Oh, it's really easy. He's Canadian. That's it. That's the hype. He's fine. He's a fine fighter. He's not a great fighter. He will have the number 15 next to his name. Maybe he'll get a little bit higher. He's probably not ever going to crack top 10. He's not a bad fighter. He is a, handsome dude. Says, very Canadian, very gentlemanly on the mic. He is the great. The thing is, Canada ostensibly is a good fight nation. It's actually historically not like a great fight nation, but the problem is they had a guy, and that guy's name was George St. Pierre, and he's probably the best fighter who's ever lived. And so, as a result of having the best guy who's ever done something, there is this urge to have the next one of him to take over in his footsteps. It was supposed to be Roy McDonald, and Roy could never quite get there. He was in the neighborhood, but he never could get to that spot to be the face of Canadian MMA. And so the fact that straight up, there just aren't a lot of Canadian dudes fighting right now. And Mike Malott was the hope for it. And he's fun. He's certainly exciting. He's usually not in boring fights. Tonight was a bit of an exception. It was super weird. But he's not really good. He is a prop to have somebody who is good that's Canadian that they can take to Canada once or twice a year.
I am torn between two names right now for on to the next one. I think both of them are going to shock people because I think the UFC is gonna give him a
I think they're giving him a bump,
like a big one, like a fight that will. I think they're going to give. Obviously,
Buckley? I think he's getting Buckley.
That's one of the names.
Say Buckley's as high as you could go for him.
I wouldn't go any higher than Buckley.
You can't. There's just no way to go higher than Buckley.
I would go. Right now, and I might end up with Buckley. The other name I'm thinking of, and I don't know if this guy would take the fight, but I actually think it would be really smart of him to take this fight. Colby. Durham Colby.
I don't view Colby as a person who fights, so I never would have thought of it. I'd give him Danny Rodriguez.
I think they're going to go higher.
I don't disagree.
Yeah,
I'm saying if I were booking, I'd book him Danny Rodriguez.
Yeah, if he was like 29, do D-Rod, but he's like 33, and
Buckley's probably the right call because Buckley can probably put him to the sword in general, but it wouldn't be impossible for Malott to win that fight.
Yeah, give him a shot. We'll see what if he goes out there and like beats Colby or beats Buckley, like the UFC can position him to be a win away from fighting for the belt, which is great for their relationship in Canada.
You don't give him Jeff Neal. That's who you don't give him.
Nope. You don't do that. I mean,
anybody other than Jeff Neal, I actually would have really no issue with.
Like, I don't want to see him fight Gilbert Burns, although I wouldn't hate that idea either. Because, I mean, he does still have a name, but it's going to be like, it's going to be a name, or it's going to be like Buckley, who's ranked high, and maybe he beats him. So
Buckley is
just
a pretty decent matchup because either way, either outcome's good. Buckley gets back in the win column, probably impressively with how Mike Malott fights, or Mike Malott gets over, and then you finally hitched your wagon to a semi-viable Canadian star.
Michael asked, could we officially rename him to Wario Malott?
I don't blame him on this fight, so no. It was not his best fight. I straight up honest, I was blogging this fight, and I honest to God, I think at the end of the first round, he like wasn't attacking Kevin Holland because he felt bad. Because the whole thing was super weird. And so the end of that round was just like awkward where Kevin Holland was hurt and Mike Malott like kind of didn't want to punch him because it was weird. And I think that the whole fight just got thrown awkwardly. And the third round, Mike Malott realized that he like it and just tackled him, which he probably should have been doing much earlier. So I don't blame it. This fight is a Dan Miragliotta special. Tandan gets to carry all the blame on this one.
Yeah.
Mike Malott has his name.
That would bum me out a little bit because on our staff, we have our little staff picks. By the way, all of us did fucking terrible. Like it's one of the worst.
I did very well.
Yeah, one of the worst like cumulative scores we've ever had.
I got 5 right. Yeesh.
Yeah, but like I was doing so bad that like the only thing that would have kept me alive was Kevin Holland winning because I was the only one on the staff who picked Kevin to win. And after that first round, I was feeling real good about that pick because he had big trouble before, the nut shots. But it is what it is. What do you do with Manon? Jasmine looked like a can. Manage is really good.
Yeah, Jasmine did look pretty. Like that's a really tough loss for her.
Yeah, there will be no championship fights for Jasmine.
I do believe that was the end. She's 36. I believe that was the end of her title aspirations.
She could still fight in Canada. There's still interesting fights for her.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's okay. There's just again,
say it all the time, Mike.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with being one of the 6 best people in the world at your job.
Exactly.
Nothing wrong at all with that.
100%. 100%. All right. Thanks for all the super chats. Let's see what else we got here. Jesus Christ. Let's see. I'm trying to find something here. How lucky was Georgia to cover the spread, Jed?
I don't know what the spread is. Both lucky and not lucky. We didn't play defense for 3 quarters, and we started playing defense in the 4th quarter, and then we won. And our offense is pretty good, so. And Ole Miss does not have a defense that can play ball. So it was stressful, and we won the game, and I'm happy about it. We march on.
Lazy Bet, a year from now, when this what a great question. When this event is a question on prop quiz, what, if any, will be your lasting memory of UFC Vancouver? I think it's a pretty easy question.
This is the event that got Dan Miragliotta to get my phone number and call me because I shat all over him for a solid 30 minutes. Like Dan Miragliotta is the takeaway. Maybe I'll forget about that and it'll just be the sadness of my big beautiful boy suffering his first UFC loss. But he was always going to lose at some point. I knew it was going to happen, and that's fine. What's not fine is Dan Miragliotta is really bad at his job and there's no accountability. And like he could maybe be better if he had to. He didn't even seem like he cared that it was all like that. This whole thing was a carnival sideshow. Like,
no, they don't have to
because they don't have to. And I don't believe that Dan Miragliotta is a bad person. I want to be really clear about that.
He is a nice guy.
He seems like a perfectly nice guy. And I largely believe that he's doing the best that he can. He can't do well enough. And he shouldn't be doing this because people's careers and lives are being put to risk, being put at jeopardy. He is fucking them up. There is no defense of his work today in the Kevin Holland fight. There were I'm trying to think off the top of my head. There are at least like 4 egregious mistakes by him in one fight. That in any other walk of life, business. Imagine at your job, you fucked up on national television super visibly and in a majorly significant way, and nobody said anything. The only jobs where that happened is a UFC referee, or if you're Mike Bobo, the offensive coordinator of University of Georgia.
Apparently, no Ayman Zahabi at the post-fight press conference, Jed. So there you go.
That's tough.
According to the great Alexander K. Lee.
I don't know why not.
Maybe he was hot. Maybe he had to go to the hospital. You know, he's pretty beat. Cheeto
hit him 6 times.
But those were 6 good shots.
Cheeto. Here's the Cheeto experience in a nutshell. Cheeto dropped his ass with a jab and did not fire a follow-up punch for like 60 seconds. He's just like, okay, this guy is fully back against the wall, terrified. And Cheeto just looked at him. Just sat and looked at him. Like, all right, why don't you get better so we can do this again? What the hell's going on, man?
Forrest, Mike and Jed, what finish impressed you the most?
I mean, Brendan Allen's finish was in general impressive. The answer, if I'm being honest, is Manal. Because Jasmine's a good fighter. Jasmine's never been finished, and Manal got her out of there in 90 seconds. That's the most impressive win on the card by a mile, I think.
I'm with you on that one. And Joseph, from the other side, what do they think of Jasmine arguing the finish?
I think Jasmine will not argue that finish when she watches the replay back. She's probably already seen it. I don't think her corner is arguing it. I give fighters a lot of leeway for things they say in the cage because they're just in the middle of it and you get confused. You just got concussed. It's hard to know. So there's nothing about that finish that's worth arguing. And I think when she's out of the heat of battle and gets to watch it again, she'll realize that that's correct.
Apparently the reason Zahabi wasn't at the post-fight press conference because they just got his out of the way.
Yeah,
which is fine.
I thought I saw clips of, because there's a clip of him being like, "I'm the most relatable fighter," which isn't entirely wrong. Like, yeah, you're just
kind actually of a great quote right there.
Yeah, it's like you're kind of just a dude, but you try real hard, and God loves a trier.
We say this all the time. We love triers.
Dude, if you could put Ayman Zahabi's effort into Cheeto Vera, that motherfucker would win a belt. That dude would win a belt. Because Cheeto Vera is supremely, incredibly talented and simply has a mental block about, like, if Cheeto didn't talk a lot and we didn't know his feelings on things, like, I would, as an outside observer, I would look at Cheeto and be like, you know what? That's just a guy who doesn't like to hurt people. Like, he fist fights because he's good at it and he can make money, but he he's super religious and he doesn't want to hurt people. That is not the case at all. But Cheeto fights like he does not want to hurt people, but sometimes he does, and he's real good at when he does it. Blend those two dudes together, and that guy would beat Moroz. You put Ayman's freaking work ethic in Cheeto, Moroz's cooked. Because Cheeto doesn't get tired.
Touche. And you can't hurt him. You just can't hurt him.
You can't hurt him. He never gets tired. He hits really hard, and he's sneaky sick at jiu-jitsu. He's a really good fighter. He just doesn't fight.
A couple more. How bad does the UFC want Mackenzie Dern to win next week?
So bad. So unbelievably bad. You can't imagine how bad they want.
We have an interview. I spoke with Mackenzie Dern the other day. That's dropping Monday. It was actually... I've interviewed Mackenzie a million times over the years, and she's just a different person, man. Like, she just is a different person than the woman I debuted, or that I interviewed way back in the day, like when she was like 3 fights into the UFC.
It's just season, baby.
Yeah, her perspective on her career and how she's gotten to where she's at, like it's pretty wild. So I actually enjoyed this interview. It's not like one of those interviews that's gonna like steal a bunch of headlines. But just a very thoughtful conversation with her. It was great. So we'll have a lot of 321 content coming up. The John Anik chats are back. So I got to speak with Anik for the first time in a few months. It's been weird not talking to him before a pay-per-view. for quite some time. So that's happening. Another fun combo interview. I'll drop the names because it's happening. I'm not going to promise something and then have it not happen. Dustin Poirier and Bruce Buffer at the same time. Probably not on anybody's bingo card, but that's happening. That's dropping on Tuesday. Very, very fun. And there's a couple of things that are going to come from that. So stay tuned for that. Let's find one last question before we get out of here. Maybe let's throw a comment up there. Oh, hoping you watch whatever happened at Fight Circus soon. Crazy we couldn't see it live in 2025. There's clips all over the place. So, yeah, go follow.
I'm sure we'll get the video in 3 months.
Go follow Ben the Bane. Go follow Oscar. And go follow Randy Costa. Apparently, Randy Costa was all over the place. Apparently, he was part of the Ultimate Dick Kicking Championship scenario as well. So they have lots of clips and weird shit that happened. And yeah, pretty it happened.
Fight Circus is my most proud moment because it was me and like 4 people and everyone's come around on it. And I just maintain that everyone comes to like the things I like. Everybody got on board with RDR. Everybody is slowly getting on board with hating Michael Chandler. Everybody likes Fight Circus. Everybody came around on Drickus Duplessis. I'm a trendsetter. I make tastes in this space, and I'm proud. I'm just proud of the boys at Fight Circus, what they're doing.
Jed and I are going to try to do some cool stuff too. Something we haven't really done before.
Mike's underwater, guys. He's underwater.
Why does it fucking do that? It's that same song.
You're out of it now, though, so that's good.
Every time it's that same.
You surfaced.
Song. Yeah, I'm back. Jed and I, we're planning some like fun stuff to sprinkle throughout the week as well. Some new stuff we're gonna do for fight weeks and just some cool stuff for social media along the way. Things be changing, and they're gonna be changing pretty soon, and I'm very excited.
Things do be changing.
But it is officially UFC 321 fight week. Jose's en route to Abu Dhabi, like first thing in the morning, and he'll be there all damn week, and we'll be with him all week just from afar, and we'll be the one-stop shop, watch party, preview shows, all sorts of fun shit. An early day MMA for UFC 321. We only get it once a year for pay-per-view season, and we're getting it. We're going to see Tommy Aspinall fight Cyril Gane like 4:30 in the afternoon, and it's spectacular. So for Jed, I am Mike Heck. Have a great night. We'll see you next time.
Love y'all.